Hi YouTubers, Felix here on week 8 of It's a Man's World, and the topic is binding, my experience. The first time I uh, thought of binding was in about 2006, and I attempted this using, quite silly really, using makeshift bandages and duct tape. It was very painful. I loved the results. I absolutely was bowled over with the results, but it wasn't very healthy. It caused me a lot of pain, and I decided I better not use that option again. So then I started using tighter and tighter crop tops, um, and then that really wasn't satisfactory because I had a really very, very big chest. I was a 38, well, probably double F really. I was huge. Um, so as you can imagine, it was quite a job to flatten my chest at all. And being a small guy, 5'1" is, well, actually at the time I wasn't even 5 foot. It was the testosterone that made me grow an inch. But yeah, it was quite a hard job to flatten my chest. So I think it must have been by about the January 2007. I was thinking that maybe really I really needed to seriously think about getting myself a binder. So I did know a friend who had binders, and so I asked him if I could try one of his binders on. So I arranged a time and I went down there and I tried his binder on, and I was just, well, I can remember the emotion. I was absolutely thrilled when I looked in the mirror and saw what it did for me. And it was an old binder, so it didn't flatten me as good as it could, but it gave me a fair idea that when I went home I was going to be looking into how I could afford and where I could get myself a decent binder from. So let me think now. It would have been maybe Easter 2007. I think that was when I got my first binder. Um, yeah, it would have been probably about Easter 2007. And I got my first binder from Underworks, and it was a full length double fronted compression binder, which tucked into my trousers, and I got a medium one, um, and when I got it I was chuffed to bits at the effect of this binder, but I wasn't totally convinced that it did the job properly. So I asked around a few other guys and I said, have you ever wore two binders together? Very dangerous really, but when you've got dysphoria like I had, and I know many of you guys probably have, who are large chested particularly, then for me, I didn't care that I had asthma, which I should have done really, which is, stupid, but anyway, the dysphoria took over completely, and I knew the risks, and I knew that I'd probably bruise my ribs and all sorts of things, that I could get fluid and build up and all things like that, that it wouldn't be good for my asthma, that I could get sores under my breasts. I knew all those risks, which are not very nice things, and dangerous, but my dysphoria was so bad that I just had to, for me there was no other option, and I'm sure you guys understand that. I had to flatten my chest any which way how. So I did get two double fronted binders and I wore them together. And that was after failing using the Acer bandages. I did try the Acer bandages first, and the Acer bandages I wore to go to work in. I ended up having to take them off because they was cutting into me so severely that I couldn't breathe. So I had to go into the toilet and take them off, and which meant that I didn't have anything else with me. So I just had my t-shirt and my shirt, and all day I was really dysphoric and really stressed out because obviously my boobs were just hanging there, and I was walking around, my shoulders like, so nobody would see me boobs because I was so worried about, anybody seeing them. Um, and at that point in 2007, when I was doing this, I wasn't even out to the majority of the staff as a trans man. I was just building up gradually to telling them all, and gradually masculinizing myself more and more, so that when I did tell them, it wasn't really going to be such a big shock to them. Hopefully, so that's what I did. So that was very unpleasant using the Acer bandages, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It's a very dangerous, bad way to go about binding. Um, so I got my binders, and I was wearing two double-fronted binders, a t-shirt, and a shirt to hide any possibility of anybody seeing anything. Um, I'm sure you guys know what I mean. I've seen pictures of me when I was binding like that, and everybody else said they couldn't see anything. But for me, it was just like a great big shelf that came out like that and went down like that. So to me, it didn't look like pecs the way pecs should look. It just looked like I had a great big shelf, and it was just, the dysphoria was just, it was just like out of control with this, how this was. So by 2008, when I went to the doctors and I came out, um, wearing these two binders, I'm sure you know what I mean, wasn't doing my asthma any good, wasn't doing my ribs any good, wasn't doing anything any good really. But, I was, it was helping my dysphoria somewhat until I was able to, get on the pathway and get hormones. Um, and have my surgeries, obviously. So, yeah, so that's what I used to bind. I used two double-fronted, long-length binders that tucked in my trousers. And it's not really recommendable using two, like I say. But I do understand, guys, if that's what you're doing, because, when your dysphoria is acute, it's in your head, it's necessary to do this. And I totally understand. And, we tend to not listen to the health risks associated with doing this, because the dysphoria, and unless you've got dysphoria, absolutely nobody understands what you're going on about. And, so all sense goes out the window really, and that's why, I was double binded. And by the time I went on testosterone, they were quite saggy by then, so like there was like, right down to my rib cage really. And then of course once I was on testosterone, after 3 months, I was able to get rid of one binder, and be fairly happy with, what had happened, because obviously, the fat in the breast breaks up and things, and this is because of the testosterone does that, and it's when the kind of a trophy, and that was much better, because obviously it helped with the dysphoria until I was able to get my first surgery. So yeah, so anyway, that's how I did my binding. As I say, wouldn't recommend the Acer bandages, and if possible, and you can avoid not double binding, that's not a good idea. But I really totally understand if people are going to wear, two binders to, relieve the dysphoria of your chest showing. I can totally understand that, and I know exactly where you're coming from, because I did it. And it did cause me a lot of pain and distress and things, but there was no other option in my head at that time. Yeah, the other type of binders which I never use are the shorter ones that just come down to, you know, kind of just below your chest, really. And they're like crop tops. Some of them shut at the front here, and they've got like hooks and eyes. Some shut on the side. They're the shorter versions. So yeah, but I never use those. But I do believe they're very good, and some guys do prefer them. So I've got a few suggestions of websites you can look on. There's f2munderworks.com. There's Hudson's Guide to F2Ms, and that's where you'll find a bit on binding, and that's www.f2mguide.org/binders. I've got T-Kingdom, which is a very good site, I do believe, which is www.t/kingdom.com. Not slash, sorry, hyphen kingdom.com. And there's another one, Man Sculpture, F2M binders, and that's www.mansculpture.com. I know there are a number of organisations out there also, guys, who are doing binder exchange, kind of, you know, for people who can't afford binders. And people send them in to these sites. Unfortunately, I think there's one in Manchester who does it. I haven't actually got the websites of the other ones, but I know if you look around, there are groups on Facebook that do the binder, second-hand binder exchange thing. So yeah, it might be worth looking that up. Other guys might know the addresses. I should have looked that up really before I come on here. Sorry. Anyway, that was my experience of binding, and I hope it's helpful. You know, and that's it for this week, guys. So until next week, bye for now, and hope you're all enjoying the glorious weather, because I know I am, except for me hay fever, which sucks at the moment. So yeah, okay, guys, bye for now.